Yeah, my name is Nick. Stage name is Nick Danger. I've been going by that for, I don't know, since about 2000-ish, 2001, maybe 2. So I've been playing music since then. Started with this band called Black Square. They're actually still going. I played with them for the first 7 years, and then I ended up starting a couple other bands here and there. And then me and my buddies started this band called El Caminos, and that band is actually still running. I mean, you know, COVID and everything. So started out mostly listening to punk and reggae and ska music, playing that sort of stuff, and then got into rockabilly, and then from there got into country.
Okay, so you play a lot of instruments, right? How many are you up to now?
I do guitar and bass. I think those kind of go hand in hand. If you do one, you could probably do the other. So I do guitar and bass, and then I started playing drums very lightly and didn't really stick with it until more recently. So I've been playing with a band called Oceans Deep for the last, I don't know, years seem weird right now. I feel like I want to say 3 years. And then, guitar, drums, bass, and then I kind of, one of my aunties gave me an ukulele, and so I started picking that up. I realized it's just the top 4 strings of the guitar capoed up on the 5th fret.
So your songwriting process, tell me about it.
What always comes to mind when I think of songwriting is I used to work at this place called Will Bento on the corner of Beretania and University. And that was like around the time that this band El Caminos was, I don't know, we're pumping. Like that was like a couple years in maybe. And we were writing a bunch of songs and feeling comfortable and kind of like hitting our stride, you know, I'd say. I noticed that my favorite songs or the best songs would come to me when I was super busy at work. And one in particular was this song called Lust that was on our second album. And in my head, I could hear ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-da, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da-da. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I got to write it. And I'm like in the middle of taking orders, cooking orders, whatever. And I like have to grab like a piece of paper and like really quickly write it out. So anyways, I noticed that I write more songs when it's not an opportune time. And like during the last year, I did write a bunch of songs, actually, to be fair. But I mean, I should have been able to write 3-4 albums worth of songs, and I didn't. You know, it's like sitting around at home is very uninspiring. Having lots of free time, very uninspiring. But being busy all the time, man, it's just like that's when the juices flow.
Is there anything else? Like, do you ever have a drink or two to get the juices flowing, or do you write better when you're completely sober? I know, like, everyone's different.
Yeah, sometimes like late at night. I mean, I've definitely been. I've had situations where it's just like I'm hammered and it's like 3-4 a.m. and I'm like, oh, got something. But yeah, basically, like I do like that. But there's absolutely nothing that I'm tied to.
So when figuring out the composition, do you write the music to the lyrics, or do you write the lyrics to the music? I know for me, it's way easier to write the music first and then write lyrics to it. And like, what's your little way about doing it?
I would have to say maybe 60-40, 60 lyrics first. But yeah, I'm not tied down to either. I think this is actually a pretty cool thing my buddy Toby told me recently. He goes, if you ever are playing around with a little riff on the guitar, and it seems like every time you pick up the guitar, you play it, and he's like, that song sucks. Finish it, write it, and then just throw it away, because there might be something you've been playing for 5 years every time you pick up the guitar. And I was like, whoa, now, this might not be right for everybody, but for me, I totally understood exactly what he was saying. And I was like, yeah, it's like there's little bits of guitar licks that I think like this eventually could be a cool song. And it's like, well, if it never came to fruition yet, the wood chipper and get rid of it.
So tell me a little about your recording process.
So this is all new to me. All of my bands have always recorded with somebody professional, but over the last year, I've gotten kind of into just throwing some stuff down on the computer. So I got this little interface. It's just a little 4-channel Behringer. It was a couple $100. Like, it was one of the cheaper ones I could find that was going to do what I wanted. Started using Shure SM58s at first because I had them for vocals. And then I switched over to this SM7B, which is like the killer podcast mic. Really good for vocals if you're not screaming. Yeah, I started using just GarageBand because it's free on my computer and it does everything that I need it to. I'm by far a novice, so it's got a metronome. It can do as many tracks as you want. It's got some effects, and I couldn't imagine needing much more than that. I was able to go into my studio, set up 4 microphones, and record a bunch of drum tracks, come home, and direct record guitar, bass, and vocals. And I mean, it sounds on par with stuff my bands were doing 15 years ago. So, good enough for me.
So being older and wiser now, what sort of things do you sing about?
Oh, man. Older or wiser, I don't know if that's true, but older for sure. I guess just less silly stuff than I maybe would have sang about before. I mean, back in the beginning of Hell Caminos, it was like psychobilly, what's that? Horror movies, blah, blah, blah. So sing about like vampires or werewolves or Frankensteins or, whatever, like stupid, just, I don't want to say stupid because there's definitely people out there. Yeah, there's people out there doing it, whatever. And that's fine. Just like that, fantasy stuff, whatever. I don't do that anymore. Just for sure, everything is like real life situations. And if it's not a real life situation, it's at least like a story, like a Johnny Cash style, just telling a story. Might not be true, but I don't know. So yeah, stuff like that, but mostly real life, mostly real situations to me.
Cool, man. That pretty much sums it up. Shall we see the finished product?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it. Before I get to see your face again, I'll be inside. I hope you're heeding words of caution, friend. I know it's not like me to be responsible. Give it a couple weeks and I'll be back to my old ways, I'm sure. Troubled times, we've never seen the likes of these. What will I do if I break these guitar strings? I'm sure that we could all use some time away, and a hard reset may be the perfect thing. Count down till these bottles run dry, sober and sleepless under gray skies. Troubled times, we've never seen the likes of these. What will I do if I break these guitar strings? I guess that we'll just wait and see. I guess that we'll just wait and see. Oops.
There we go. Perfect.